Before the mountains were mountains, and before the rivers flowed, there was only chaos, a formless, suffocating unity. This chaos was contained within a shell, the primordial cosmic egg, suspended in an abyss where time and space were meaningless concepts. Inside the egg, everything was one. The heavy, sinking darkness of yin was inseparable from the light, airy potential of yang. Here, deep in the thickest part of the void, existed Pangu, the divine embryonic giant, asleep for eons. Pangu was not born, he simply was, a consciousness coiled and resting, absorbing the dull, humid energy of the cosmic slurry. He knew no hunger, no cold, no purpose. Existence was a heavy, comfortable blanket woven from nothingness. But after what felt like an eternity, or perhaps a single breath, a slow, irritating awareness began to bloom within him. Pangu sensed the crushing weight of the egg's walls, the perpetual fusion of darkness and light that made movement impossible. This unbroken unity, once comfortable, now felt like a prison, restricting a destiny he hadn't yet named. He felt the profound, aching need for separation, for space, for air, for a distinction between the low and the high. Pangu awakened. His awakening was not sudden, but a gradual, slow expansion, like a great heart beginning its first powerful beat. He unfurled his massive limbs inside the shell, immediately meeting resistance from the sticky, undifferentiated chaos. It fought back, the darkness of yin gripping his legs, the lightness of yang pressing against his head, trying to pull him back to sleep. Pangu let out the first sound of the universe, a deep, guttural sigh of immense effort, unheard but powerfully felt. He reached out, his hands searching for an edge, a seam, anything that differentiated the interior of the egg. There was none. The solution, Pangu realized, was not to find a crack, but to create one, not with force, but with intention. He needed a tool, something sharp enough to pierce the unified state of the primordial soup. From the swirling mass of cosmic energy around him, Pangu drew forth an instrument of immense power, the axe of creation. The axe was not metal or wood, but solidified will, honed by the millennia of his silent, coiled potential. It pulsed with a dull gray light, ready to strike the very concept of sameness. Pangu gripped the handle, feeling the incredible weight of his coming choice. To break the egg was to break the peace. With a monumental effort, he raised the axe above his head, the space inside the egg instantly feeling tighter, more dangerous. He brought the axe down in a single, earth-shattering stroke. Crack! The sound was the first noise in existence, a thunderclap that echoed through the nothingness, defining the boundaries of sound itself. The cosmic egg fractured instantly, splitting into two distinct halves under the force of the blow. The blow didn't just break the shell, it violently separated the compressed yin from the floating yang. The heavy, dark, and turbid elements, the yin immediately began to sink, coalescing into the foundation that would become the earth D. The light, pure, and bright elements, the yang rushed upwards, forming the vault that would become the heaven Tian. Pangu, standing amid the wreckage, let out a breath of relief, watching the beautiful, terrifying separation of light and dark. But the separation was precarious, unstable. The chaos yearned for its former unity. Pangu watched in horror as the heavy yin began to rise, and the light yang began to fall, threatening to smash back together. If they reconnected, the universe would snap shut, dissolving back into the suffocating unity of the cosmic egg. Pangu knew his work had only just begun. The crack had been made, but the space had to be maintained. He braced himself, planting his enormous feet firmly on the sinking yin mass. He lifted his hands and pushed with all his might against the rising yang vault. Pangu became the pillar of the universe. Its body, massive and growing, was the only thing standing between the newly formed heaven and earth. For every day that passed, the yin sank 10 feet deeper, and the yang rose 10 feet higher. And for every 10 feet of separation, Pangu's body grew 10 feet taller, constantly maintaining the gap. The process was agonizing. The rising yang created immense pressure on his shoulders, forcing him to strain every muscle. The sinking yin pulled at his legs, anchoring him to the heavy darkness he had worked so hard to escape. He could not rest. If he slept for a moment, the world would crash together, and everything would be lost. Pangu spent the first 18,000 years of existence engaged in this impossible silent labor. He was completely alone, The heaven and earth were too young to create life, and the space between them was filled only with the deafening roar of cosmic separation. His skin became raw from the friction of the rising yang, and his feet were permanently cold, cemented to the primordial earth. The memory of the comfortable sleep in the egg became a distant, tempting ghost, whispering promises of rest. But Pangu pushed through the fatigue, driven by the profound instinctive knowledge that freedom required sustained effort. His legs became stronger than granite, his spine more rigid than any mountain range that would eventually form. He watched the yang vault slowly change, becoming clear, developing the first faint glimmer of stars. He saw the yin mass beneath him settle, the turbulent slurry calming into a solid, dark foundation. After 9,000 years, the yin and yang finally reached a state of stable equilibrium. The world could, theoretically, sustain itself. Pangu could have stopped. He could have stepped aside. But he knew true stability required more than mere separation. It required vast, infinite distance. So he continued to grow, continuing the lonely, eternal task of holding the firmament in place. His heart, once the catalyst of his awakening, now beat with the slow, steady rhythm of the nascent cosmos. He saw the first signs of life flicker in the space he had created tiny. Unformed spirits flitting between the two realms. These nascent beings were the first witnesses to his sacrifice, born directly from the energy of his sustained will. He saw the first clouds form, swirling around his mighty head like crowns of ethereal mist. The first rays of true sunlight, pure, powerful yang energy, began to warm his shoulders. Yet even as light filled the gap, Pangu remained solitary, forever trapped in the space he had so desperately yearned to create. He thought of the egg, once a prison, now a nostalgic memory of silence and simplicity. Another 9,000 years passed, doubling his time, doubling his size, and tripling his existential fatigue. The earth was now vast and firm. The heavens were high and clear. The distance was complete. Pangu knew the moment of release was approaching, but it was not the restful freedom he had once imagined. His purpose was fulfilled. The separation was permanent. The world could breathe on its own. He stood at the absolute zenith of his power, a giant beyond comprehension, touching the sky with his head and the earth with his feet. He was the measure of the world's height and depth, the standard of all things terrestrial and celestial. He felt a profound sense of peace settle over him, replacing the aching strain of 18,000 years. Pangu took one final, enormous breath, filling his lungs with the fresh, clean air of the separated world. He smiled, a grand, silent gesture that was the first genuine expression of joy in the universe. The time for rest had come, not in sleep, but in transformation. Pangu slowly let his hands drop, releasing the heaven. The yang, now a solidified vault of stars and light, did not fall. It held its perfect, infinite altitude. He gently lifted his feet from the earth. The yin, now firm, vast, and silent, did not rise. It remained the solid foundation for all things to come. The universe was stable. Pangu's sacrifice was no longer needed as a brace, but as a source. The moment he released his strain, a terrifying, beautiful disintegration began. Pangu collapsed, not like a defeated titan, but like a melting iceberg, slowly, gracefully, giving all of himself back to the world. His last great breath became the wind and the clouds, the gentle breezes and the violent storms. His deep, booming voice, once only a sigh, became the thunder that would shake the new skies. Eyes opened one last time, gazing at the beautiful separation he had achieved. His left eye became the radiant sun, providing the daily source of yang energy to the world. His right eye became the cool, silver moon, providing the gentle, rhythmic force of yin. His four limbs and his trunk settled, becoming the 5 sacred mountains that would anchor the cardinal directions of the earth. His hair, dark and flowing, scattered into the heavens, transforming into the uncountable stars in the Milky Way. His blood flowed out, tracing the surface of the earth, becoming the great rivers and oceans. His muscles and flesh melted, becoming the rich, fertile soil of the fields and plains. The fine hair on his skin became the trees, grasses, and flowers that decorated the landscape. His bones and teeth hardened, transforming into precious minerals, jades, and metals deep within the mountains. His sweat and bodily fluids flowed, becoming the gentle rain and the nourishing dew. The tiny parasites and fleas living upon his skin, the smallest aspects of his existence, were kissed by the wind. These small creatures were transformed into the first humans, endowed with the spark of Pangu's own consciousness. The acts of creation, now useless, dissolved into pure potential, becoming the blueprint for all future invention and art. Pangu's grand solitary body was now gone, yet he was everywhere, composing every aspect of the newly formed world. The universe was no longer a unity of chaos, but a vibrant tapestry of distinction, built on the structure of one divine life. From the cosmic egg, silence emerged a world of sound, color, and consequence, all thanks to the moment the shell cracked. The legend of Pangu, the ultimate act of selfless creation, became the foundation of all subsequent myths and lives. Thank you for watching this story from Storycraft Studio. If Pangu's world-building sacrifice moved you, please like this video, share it with fellow myth enthusiasts, and subscribe to Storycraft Studio channel for more tales of deities and celestial beings.